Hi Jane, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Good. How are things going in the art room?
Very well.
Okay, good. Right, well, I'm glad we had a chance to do some coaching together on how you're getting to level 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my understanding of this, because I've read through all the material you sent me, thanks for sending me that, there's some good insights in there. You're coaching one of your peers in the business on their customer engagement.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about that situation.
Well, I'm coaching, as I say, one of my peers. She's already got a customer engagement system and recognises that it needs to improve. She's not quite happy with it. So as part of my level 5, I'm going to help her take that to the next level.
Okay, good. So in the coaching you've done so far, what do you think was the kind of best things that came out of it for you as a coach?
I think I've actually realised that I've got stronger skills than I thought I had. I didn't think I was a particularly good listener, to be honest with you, because I'm quite instructional, so I like to tell people what to do. But actually I've surprised myself. I've actually found it easier to listen than I thought I would.
Great, great. And conversely, what are the things that you might have found a bit difficult?
I think one of the things I find difficult is that the person I'm coaching wants to take away a huge list of items to do, huge list of objectives, and then actually can't find the time to do them. So I'm trying to work with her to be realistic about her goals and chunk things down, but maybe delegate a little bit more and use her time a bit differently.
Okay, well, when I was preparing for this, one of the things, the insights I got from the material you gave me was that goal setting for the person you're working with was an issue. Mm-hmm. So is that what you'd like to focus on in this section?
It is, yes.
Okay.
She tends to be quite a perfectionist, and I'm trying to change her thinking, you know, that when you actually review things over and over and over again, you actually don't always get to do them. And I'm trying to get her to think about doing something even if it's not absolutely perfect, because she can improve it next time.
Okay, so that, let's say that's your objective for this session, is how you can be able to find ways for her to set a goal, make sure she's motivated to stick with that goal, and then deliver on that, and then be able to reflect
Yes.
on how well she achieved that. So thinking about that and the structure of the way you're coaching her, what would be sort of one or two alternatives of the way you might approach her to be able to get her to focus on a goal and be motivated to deliver that?
Well, I want to get her to think about prioritisation. So she's got her system and she's working around it in a specific order. So I want her to think about what is going to get her reach her objective in the right order. So she doesn't start at, say, number 4, she needs to start at number 1. And I need her to think about what support she's got around her, so she can maybe delegate a bit more. Which in turn will actually help develop her people and will raise their profile, give her more time to do more high profile things. It'll raise her profile, so actually everybody gets a win out of it. So that's what I'm focusing on, actually getting her to use her people more effectively. And we have had a couple of wins in that area actually.
Good.
She's delegated a couple of tasks which I think she wanted to do, but I've actually helped her to think about how that actually might build somebody else's confidence.
Okay, so you've got a success story you could reflect on.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me, and tell me if you think I've got this right, the first thing is about understanding priorities and priority setting.
Mm-hmm.
The second is about delegation that you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned. The third is really about motivation and benefits, the benefits that she'll see out of it. I think you use the phrase, everybody gets a win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the fourth would be reflecting on a successful thing that she did, and pointing out to her that she can do this.
Yes.
Is that
Yes, that's good.
pretty
That's a
much
good
summary? So if you kind of jot those down as your headings, maybe that'll help. Do you think that would help
That
you?
would definitely help me and
Okay.
help to keep us on track. We have got a standard agenda and we do make a lot of notes on documents, but that actually would be quite a useful aid to keep us on track.
So you've got those 4 things. Is there anything else you think you might do in a coaching session that might help her?
I think it is really helpful to help her celebrate what she's achieved. So we do do quite a lot of reflection, and I can see actually how much she's enjoying this more than she thought she would.
Okay.
So I think when she can see the wins for herself, she then actually can see how they filter down her team.
Okay, great.
And it's actually helping her to reflect on how, you know, I talk about me being instructional,
Yeah.
she's actually quite instructional too.
Okay.
So that's actually helping her, and I'm using examples of what I do or don't do
Sure.
to help her. So that's working quite well. That's actually a dual benefit. So it's not just the coachee who's getting the benefit, I'm actually getting some benefit as a coach as well because I'm learning.
And sharing stories, bringing it to life with
Yeah.
stories and examples.
Absolutely.
Do you find that very helpful?
Very, very helpful. The other thing I found really helpful is when we actually get up from the desk and go and do something.
Okay.
And we did that for the first time this week, and that was actually quite a penny dropping moment, I think, because she said actually that worked really well, and unfortunately she didn't take a notebook and notepaper with her to jot something down, but I didn't necessarily see that as a problem. I saw that as her having to really think deeply to understand it. So actually when she came back to her place of work,
Okay.
she understood it because she'd taken it in rather than just make notes.
Yeah.
And then just rely on those notes to help formulate her thinking. She actually really understood it. And it actually reflected quite well on a piece of work she'd done, because she was quite happy with that piece of work, but actually going to another area to have a look at something else actually really made her realise that there was something else that she could do to improve it.
Well, I think that's absolutely vital, and getting up and going somewhere, using that kind of kinesthetic role, sounds like that was very beneficial to you.
And that was something that I picked up from one of the leadership conferences we had some time, in fact quite a few years ago, about people's different ways of learning. Some people like to read, some people like to talk, some people like to sing. So I tried to mix it up in those areas.
And going and seeing something helps to make it very real. But I'm just going to pick up on the point you raised about not having anything to record that with, and I know you said you didn't think that was a big problem. How might you deal with that in future? You know, one of the things we do, and if you look at a number of sections on Unipart Way Online, for instance, you'll see that we talk about recording things. In an Insight Star, in Six Sigma, we use recording of data. How could you encourage that in? What do you think you might do to make sure that next time?
Well, we did reflect on that as part of our session summary. So we did talk about that, and I don't think that would be an issue next time, because I think she realised that would have been useful to her. But also we came back and she reflected immediately on what she'd seen and what she'd done, so she was able to make little notes against that all the way around. So that's a memory jogger for her. So although she didn't have anything with her directly, as soon as we came back to our meeting place, she did document it.
Have you had a chance to look at anything on Unipart Way Online to see if there are any standard forms you might be able to use with her for going to see something and observing, recording data?
There are some Insight Star forms that she could well use, and that's actually something I could take to the next session.
Okay, so
which would be really helpful actually.
That's something you might want to put into your plan moving forward.
Yes.
So let's just talk about that plan for a minute. You're going to do your next session, so the first stage you're going to do is do your own prep for that. Just tell me about the plan for that session now and things we can agree that you'll do.
Well, when we finish each coaching session, she will actually assess me, so I can see how well I'm doing and where I've got areas for improvement. So what I would do is actually go through that form and see, well, maybe listening may not have been a good one for me, so I would make a note for myself to make sure that I'm a bit more aware of that. And also we've worked out a standard agenda, so I know what she should be bringing me. We've worked out a period of time and what should happen on each of those weeks. We've also got a session log, so we note down all those objectives that she has, and we use that as a basis to start the meeting. Okay,
so we agreed 4 or 5 points of things that you're going to do with her about priority setting, about motivation, about delegation, about celebration. Yeah, so those are the big headings for you. How are you going to put them together so that you make sure you cover them?
Well, I'll have that written down as my agenda, and I will ask her how those things are going. Are there any other pressing items that have happened during the week that may have prevented her doing those? And that will build a nice little rapport between us. and it's not just digging straight into the work, it's actually coming into it gently and just a gentle reminder about what we talked about and how things are going.
Okay, so that's your plan for the session. When are you going to do that session with her?
I'll be doing that session with her on Monday.
Okay, so that's great. So ideally for me, if between now and Monday you come up with any questions or anything you want to discuss about that as you're preparing, give me a call. We can talk that through. But otherwise, I would, suggest to you there's some form of reflection that you should do afterwards.
Yes.
Okay, and how would you like to do that?
Well, what I'm actually using at the moment is this document called Learning Log.
Okay.
So it could be used from a coach's point of view or from a coachee's point of view. So we're both using this, and it talks about certain experiences and how we reflect on them.
Sure.
And actually, I think naturally I do reflect on a lot of things, probably too much sometimes, but this is actually a way of recording it. And when you look back, you actually, the penny drops. It can be a penny dropping moment.
Sure.
So I find this very, very useful. And when we're going through our sessions, if I pick up something on the person I'm coaching, I'll ask them to write it down on their session record. That should be, you could write about that in your learning log, and they can jot it down so they don't forget. And likewise, I'll do the same.
So you'll complete a learning log
Yes.
after the session that you do, and then I guess we'll share that at your next coaching session
Yes.
to reflect on it, see how that went, and what things you could improve, what things went really well on that.
Yes.
Is that okay for
That's
you?
great.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
so,
really enjoying it. I think it's a fantastic experience from both sides. It's really nice to see somebody actually improving. And it's actually not that difficult for them. Sometimes the obvious is right in front of you. I think it's helping people to see that. It's really, really
and by the time
rewarding.
you're moving to level 5, you've already completed quite a lot of study and thinking and practice around coaching. So we're really fine-tuning at this stage into the sorts of things you could do with an external organization, and you're working with someone in another part of the company. So that kind of fits that bill. So by all means, if there's anything you want to talk about in the interim, as I said, please feel free to call me. Otherwise, just off the top of your head, how do you feel this coaching session went?
I think it's been really good. Again, you're asking me lots of questions that are making me really think, and so I know what you're doing because I do the same thing. And I think what's different is when I've coached, maybe before, I've coached somebody at a lower level, so I'm the senior person. Now I'm coaching peer-to-peer.
Sure.
And now I'm seeing you coaching me as a junior, so it's quite interesting to see how it all works together.
Good. Okay, well thanks very much. Thanks for the
Thanks,
session,
Frank.
and I'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you later.